Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Mantalk.ke. I'm really glad you enjoyed the chat with Anton. And this episode is just me and the boy today. And when we were thinking about what we're going to talk about in this episode, we were hesitant and we said, do we really want to do this episode? And after long deliberations, we said, the best approach is honesty. The best approach is honesty. So today's episode, we want to draw a comparison between wins and losses. A lot of the time when you see us online and when you see us having conversations, you'll just assume that me and Oscar are always winning. But that's not the case. And we want to show you some of the losses we've had to get to the stage that we are at right now. So it's going to be very honest. I think we're going to laugh a lot at some of the stories that we have here. But we're going to go from our personal life to what we're doing together as podcasting. And hopefully there's some value at the end of it. So...
Yes, as you know, this is my camera, so I will look at it. As you know, we are focused on honest and elevating conversations. I will ask Mr. Munda to be as honest as possible in his loafers, in his boat shoes, and his blue shirt.
Navy.
Is it navy?
Navy.
Please,
Navy,
we will in this. You see the way we're wearing nice clothes, the sneakers, how we look, how we talk.
It's by design.
Today we're going to talk about the actual headaches we've had, running a podcast as a business, and kind of just be honest about the journey of entrepreneurship, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs out there look at other entrepreneurs and think it's rosy or it's it's a beautiful experience. The business that we run, a lot happens. A lot happens when the camera turns off.
Yeah, behind the scenes. Yes. So I think what we're going to do is I want to kick off with a very general question.
Okay.
Before we even get to the podcasting, working in social media, I want to understand from your point of view the first time you experienced real loss. I'm not saying grief. I mean the first L, just the biggest L. The first one you experienced, because that's going to sort of set the tone for how you deal with L's now. So what was your first L?
My first big business L. There's been a lot.
Not even business, just career, business, anything.
I think I'll go business. Okay, this is a business episode.
Okay, let's do it.
So there was this idea I had when I was 20. I think I was slightly younger, and we were in talks with a media company, one of the CEOs, a very good friend of mine, still and a mentor. And he was willing to listen to our idea. Our idea, at that time, we were thinking about having a nightclub app.
There he is.
Yeah, the nightlife application, man. That thing, I was so attached to it. I was there thinking it'd be the next Zuckerberg. And there's actually a clip somewhere of me pitching the idea to someone and how passionate I was. You can see it in the video. Unfortunately, I don't have access to it anymore. And I was at that time, I was sure that the ticketing business in Kenya would be optimized and made better. This was before the MOOCs, during the Ticket Sasa time. I was they're doing it, but they're not really doing it at a level. I felt there was a lot of room for customization. And at that time, it was just websites. So I'll never forget, we walk into that boardroom. So I'd done it with some of my friends. We walk into that boardroom. And you think that you're the one who has the idea, you're the one who's going to champion it. Then the guy just asked one question. Okay, so who's going to be the one who's going to be leading the project? And what exactly am I buying? Because you haven't formed a company, you haven't done anything, you haven't formalized anything. What's the agreement between all of you? Because there's 3 of you founders. What exactly is your thinking? And you're there with a law degree and you haven't done all this, but you're willing to walk into a boardroom. And you can imagine at that time, you've taken meeting after meeting, you've sacrificed time after time, you've made slides, you're just there fantasizing. So that guy is telling you yo, for me to give you X amount of money for you to build the website, is there anything that you've done that can show that your concept works? Or are you just coming to ask for money?
It's just words, right?
It's just words. It's just an idea. And that thing when you're in school and the business is a theoretical subject. Business is not necessarily a practical experience. It's a theoretical subject. So you're very good at drawing charts, writing proposals.
Everything's linear.
Everything's
if this equals
exactly.
This,
At that time I was very young. So we walked in there, man, and I remember he just shot everything down. And then we left. And then, for me, the reason why I think it's such an L is because there was no follow through after.
We'll call you.
Yeah. Not even we'll call you. For us as a team, as guys, we should have gone home, formed the company, formalized everything.
On your end.
Yeah. We should have, because that idea died that way. It just died that way. I went to law school and it got shelved and everyone went back to having fun and being young.
Yeah.
But I feel that idea for me was so personal at that time. And it still in many ways is, I still feel something about it. But now we're doing Mantalk, and thank God I can now say I am an entrepreneur. No,
Yeah. Hey.
I'm not an entrepreneur. We will talk about that. I am not an entrepreneur. Never call me
we're
that.
something else.
We're something else.
Not entrepreneurs.
After reviewing the financials, we are not entrepreneurs, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about
Let me
it.
compose myself. Jesus Christ.
We'll talk about
But
it,
what was the lesson that you took from it? I think we should parallel L versus a lesson.
Yeah, the lesson definitely there was, sometimes, the idea is, as much as you might be passionate about a business or an endeavor and you think that you have people around you who you trust and who kind of can take the idea to the next level, sometimes that's just not the case, man. Like sometimes you really need to formalize the business. Even if people are your friends, like just enter into agreements with people in your business, right? So that you know what your roles and they know their roles. And once you do that, like it really eases a lot of the stress. And like as much as people say formalize everything and make partnerships, make business, put together companies, that's really important, of course. But also between the two of you or the three of you or the four of you, like what roles will each of you dispense and how clear is that? Because you might find that you're here having a fantasy when people around you are like just along for the ride and you don't even know.
I feel I've been there. We'll get to that. Yeah. I've been there. That's the solid lesson.
Yeah.
Solid lesson. Okay. So
what about you,
I'm trying to think. There's a myriad.
There's a lot.
So many L's.
Yeah. Like your first L, the first big.
My first big L. Okay. So in episode 3, we talked about how after uni I went into entrepreneurship with my father, and I was like, yeah, let's get this money together, Dad. So there was one time where there was a really good project that was happening in Kenya, and they needed sourcing for equipment and materials from from Europe, right?
Yeah, please go.
So my father's friend was like, oh, I have this big contract. I need someone in Europe to be able to get this stuff. My dad was way too busy. I just finished uni. He said, son, let me take my hand. I'm going to show you how to do business.
Go to Europe.
Yeah. So I'm there and he's like, this is what we need, this equipment. It was for building a road, a familiar road we're all familiar with, right? So he's like, yeah, this is what's needed. These are the equipment that's needed. So search the internet, make the phone calls, go view the equipment, research. So I became like an expert in tar, road making, gravel spreading. It was just, I just consumed myself with it because I could see the figure at the end.
Yes, what did you intend to do with the figure?
Ooh, brother. So basically, the idea was I was going to consult, right? That was my thing. I was going to consult and also source the things. So I was flying to like Holland. I was driving like 6 hours to like Northern England, coming back down again, just to go and view all this equipment. And I like done research, extensive research. So I was billing the hours as well. Like I was like, I'm factoring all of this in, my expenses, all of this. And then the final figure that was coming was a solid number that 2% of that figure was going to buy me a house cash. So you can imagine what the total figure was for this contract, right? So I do everything and I send him the invoices like, this is fantastic. I'm like, okay, so first initial payment is this date, this date, this date. It's all there. It's all done. And now he has everything to go and now get the tender. Like, and it was basically a sure thing. My dad was like, he's a good guy. He's done this before. So like a week passes and I'm like, how did it go? How did the tender go? He's like, we're just waiting for feedback. I'm like, okay. Like a month passes, I'm like, what's going on? Because you have all the information now. The deadline's been passed. What's happening? You have to also bear in mind, I'm a very naive boy that's lived in Europe that thinks A plus B equals C all the time. I didn't factor in things like corruption, things like backhanders. I thought it was straight shooting. So in my mind, I've already been on the website looking for the flat I'm going to buy. Like I was like, I can now go and buy this house. It's my first house. I'm going to be 20 something. And it just kept going. And then in the end, we got the phone call. Yeah, by the way, we found it elsewhere. We're not going to go ahead with it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So basically what's happened is all the information I'd given, now they've sort of gone behind, got it themselves, and then the tender didn't even go through in the end. So that maybe 2 months of work. And when you're anticipating a number that you're going to buy a house cash, it's a lot when you realize, okay. Yeah. So sometimes people aren't straight shooters. But the biggest lesson I got from that is I didn't know that in 2 years' time, I'll be doing business in Kenya. So that was my first interaction from a distance. But knowing that when I came now on the ground, I was more hesitant. I was more conservative with information. And that was the best lesson I got because now it's helped me in the last 3 years I've been here.
I have another one. This one's going to kill you.
Oh, God.
Because I haven't told you. So another business that we started. This time I was I think it was that period of time. I think it was like 2021. So the pocket money that we'd get from campus. So we have a group of young guys. So me and my old friends put money together and got into the beekeeping business.
You told me this one.
I don't think I gave it to you, but I didn't give it to you straight.
Oh no, here we go.
So I'm even laughing. So we went and bought around, I think it was like 20 hives, like they're called Lansdorff hives. So like these are like huge hives that could do like about 10 to 15 kilos of like honey a hive. So like, and each kilo of honey, we're just seeing money. Each kilo of honey apparently when processed, when processed is about 1,000 bob. And we're like, wow, like that means that like one hive can give you like 20 G's if the yield is okay, or like 15 G's. You just need to be patient. You need to set up. Hey, my good friend, Mr. Alex Nzuki.
If you know, we're familiar with this man.
With this man, the great man, the great man from Nzweni.
Yes.
So we got into a lease. It literally like for nothing. We were told it's okay, just put the bees over there. In fact, it's good for the farm. It was a mango farm. So, young man, you know, you're very happy to tell your girlfriend, you know, pick up your phone.
Don't bring the girls into
let
this.
me tell you something. You know, you want to show your girlfriend you're entrepreneurial. You want to show her, like, you've married right,
I'm a hustler,
baby. I'm a
baby.
hustler. I just want you to know. I don't know where I am.
I'm about to go. Okay.
So we've gone all the way to Nzweni with these hives. We've carried like beekeepers. We're paying this beekeeper, like we went source for beekeeper. Hey, shout out to the boys. And we pushed.
Yeah.
We went looked for beekeeper. This beekeeper tells us, yes, this is the cost of the hives. This is how much it costs. I can't even be harvesting for you. So we go with this beekeeper all the way there. He sets up the hives. So us guys in Nairobi, see, because we're like, see, everything's been set up. Just come home. We make sure it's like in the honey belt. So like we know like the hives will be full. Honey will come out. So we come home and we just wait. We do that thing. We live our lives and wait because there's money.
The money's coming.
The money's coming.
Yeah.
It's money.
History repeats itself.
So see, we're waiting. So the day comes to go and inspect the hives to check like whether there's honey or not. So we put on the white suits. We go there. I'm telling you, we were stung by bees. We go there in the middle of the night. You come back. You know, drinking water. One of our guys are coming back with bee stings. We put on the clothes, but then not like what we bought wasn't 100%. So we're coming back with bee stings. We're just laughing and enjoying the whole experience. And like, yeah, they're set up. Imagine the hives are full. Like they've all gotten like there's only 1 or 2 hives that don't have like bees. So like we're like, by the way, if we estimate it, it's probably like you can imagine 20 hives. Each is giving 20 kilograms of honey. So as you're projecting like 400 Gs.
Yeah.
Like, boys.
No, we're set. We're set.
Come on.
Don't chat to us.
Prepare
Gone
for
clear.
check. Finish your 4th year. Tell your parents, relax. You raised some
See the
geniuses.
DJ kind of thing. Buy yourself a house. Buy your mama a house.
Because there, my guy, those days I didn't even afford these sneakers.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, my guy, that Air Force, those new Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
My baby, me and her gonna go to Kilifi. That time,
goodness.
madness. Come back. So now we found out that they're bees. Do you know, after a month or 2, or I think it was after 2 months. So now, because after 2 months now is when you go back to check. We found all of the honey that we had been waiting for has been stolen. Now here's what the caretaker told us. I think this is the thing that like got us rolling. You know honey badgers, eh? You know honey badgers? Those things are bad. Hey, you see even the way they've cut the wire. Hey, look at the way
They came with
we reinforced those hives because of like honey badgers with like steel coils.
Yeah.
So like there was no chance like does a honey badger know how to use a clipper?
tough.
So like all of our honey was stolen.
Brother.
And like all of the hives were like destroyed. So all of the money we'd saved, and this is like
You'd invested, huh?
all of the money we'd
That pocket
invested
money. Yeah.
disappeared. So those Lansdorff hives stayed there. And you have to remember, because we were so ambitious, we bought like surplus of hives and kept them somewhere.
Of course, because it's going to work.
Yeah,
it's going to work. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So like that thing was so traumatizing for us. We've never invested in any other business since. Any other business. You know the honey badgers, eh?
Tough. Just some young boys.
They they can smell these things.
Yeah.
Those hives were cut by men. So this guy, I don't know.
Someone made the 400.
Somebody made the 400. It wasn't us.
If you wanted a lesson from that, I think the only lesson would just be careful.
Yeah, and also be proactive. I feel like, those, especially those businesses that tell you like just put
money
money and sleep
Yeah.
and like, live your life. I feel like those are the most dangerous businesses. There's no business on earth that you shouldn't be like keeping a constant eye on and like just caring about.
Yeah.
Like that's even showed for us in Mantalk. Like we're more like, I'm so obsessed about every little aspect of the business because I know what it's like to lose like,
the
big
money.
time. Even, especially like I said, doing business with with friends is also another thing because like all of you guys will like,
it'll be fine, it's vibes.
it's okay. But then like when it's two people who can hold each other accountable, like it's never gonna
different.
be it's okay. It's like yo, we need to push this thing, otherwise we'll be in big trouble.
But I don't think you heard my advice. I said to be careful. I'm sorry.
That definitely stings.
Yeah, ooh, honey. Okay. Let me cancel this podcast right now. Honest and elevating. Okay, so that was like, why am I crying? So that was such a bad joke. So that was prior to us meeting. So obviously all those lessons that we took from these little stories, you're more cautious with people, I'm more cautious with people. You think about, you're there, you're hands-on with the business, etc. So now, Oscar, these two men that are doing such an amazing job on the podcast, you'd assume that, you know, that
Kenyan podcasters you should listen to.
Exactly.
Number one.
With impact comes revenue, surely.
Hey, number one. Hey,
wow. Well, okay.
Podcasting in Kenya. Booming business. Hey. Wait. The media has called us many things at this point.
Goodness me. I remember one interview I said, that's why podcasting is just such an exciting venture. Let's get into it. Because some people are like, let me grab a mic and start one.
So, Mr. Eli, I want to know from your side, which was like the one experience that like shocked you when we were doing this thing? The one that told you, don't mess about. Don't play.
So it's comedy because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Luckily, before we came into the podcast, and I'd kind of been in the digital scene for a little bit, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And even on a personal level, as Eli, the brand, I was always chasing invoices. Where 90 days has passed. Why do you need the content's been delivered, etc., etc., etc. So I was used to that kind of struggle. However, there was the added struggle of having a new product, which is a podcast, that now when you're giving ratings for it and giving fees for it, they're like, I don't understand, because are you an influencer? Are you a podcaster? So I think the biggest and the first L that we took, like slap on our face, was, I won't give timelines because people will be able to gauge who we're talking about, but there was a certain client that was so excited to work with us. Actually, around this time, I think it was around Father's Day or something, and they said, yes, we want to work with you, but the first thing you need to do is you need to register a company. Get your KRA pin sorted, do the shares, get a folder with everything inside. Detail, 2 passport photos. Please. 2, not 1, 2. So he said, oh, okay, well, this is how much. If we're getting that much money, let's do this right now. Let's do this now. We're having very tough conversations, how we split the shares, where we registered the company. Do you know a guy? I know a guy. We moved with speed and purpose. Speed, no purpose, but apparently actually. So we registered everything, went into our pockets, this money here, it's fine. Let's go back to the client and say, we're now ready for you. Here's the bank account.
We have built the shit.
That's when you open the bank account. Because there's going to be a big deposit. It can't be M-Pesa.
Surely.
Yeah, exactly. It will exceed the amount.
I mean, I need somebody to call me from the bank and ask me, Oscar, surely, what are you doing now? Are you selling something you shouldn't? This country, the country's awash.
Honestly. Yes, this is true.
What's going on?
So this was our mindset. We were going to win. We were going to win. So through being very excited, knowing you're going to make this quarter, when we split it this way, when we put some money for here, we're going to invest in this. And you go to them, how many proposals do you have to write? This proposal, attach this. This hasn't stopped actually writing proposals, but to this day, till a few hours ago, we sent one off today. So what happened there is the excitement built. We did everything that was needed for the client to come back and say, actually, just no. Why? Just no. There was no tangible reason as to why. And there was a whole plan. We're going to work with you for like a year. There's so much we're going to do together. But the biggest blessing that is because when the next client came, we had all the documents ready. Boom, done. And it's helped us to this day. It's to this day. So I think the one thing I took was like, as much as somebody might take the mick at some point in your journey, you always see when somebody goes up to get a Grammy or an Oscar, they say, just thank you for everyone that said no. But genuinely, people that say no serve such a vital purpose because with the kind of speed the next client needed, we wouldn't have achieved if we started from scratch.
In fact, I'll tell you something. It was... That one thing is what made me and you so mad.
We were so angry.
We decided to do the podcast alone.
That's when it started.
That's when it was me and you.
Yeah.
It was like what happened was like, because we were a larger team and we were like, that thing. I said, let's see. We're working on this, let's see. So like when that point of like a dip happened and a big failure, me and you got on the phone.
How many phone calls?
We were like,
Yeah.
are we going to say we have failed?
Never.
Are we going to say,
Yeah.
like, are we going to say that Mantalk has failed as a business? And we're like, no, let's just push and see what happens.
Yeah.
It was that failure that actually is one of the bedrock of what you're seeing today.
Yeah.
That one failure.
And I'd say that bonded us a little bit, brother. I'd say,
The next episode was friends.
This is true. Yeah. Wow. Do you want to go there with different production companies?
Now
Do you want to go?
That's where I'm taking it.
Let's go.
Like,
spin the coop.
another thing that we've like really taken else from is like finding the right like production team and finding the right production house. Of course, now we have obviously managed to beat that, and we work with an incredible team, and thank God for them. But like before that, there was a shoot, and if you watch Mantalk and you've been following us for a while, since I think that time we had watched, we were like at 2K, 3K followers,
if that.
I think on Instagram. And one of the videographers we booked that day, we won't say who, because
we've been through like 5, 6. We're getting
one of the videographers we booked that day. That for me, that was the alarm one. Literally went out partying the night before and slept.
Yeah.
And then me and Eli looking like
lemons.
The one he likes to use. Looking like lemons.
Yeah, just looking like lemons. We woke up at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
let's go to set.
We're showering, changing, just making sure. Yeah. And here's the worst thing: that where we were shooting before, like that venue was so noisy because they had a construction site there. So we had to shoot when this construction company doesn't come in. So we knew if we shoot between 11 and 1, 11 and like 2, 3 or 4 into the afternoon, like these construction guys, you just can
and
just gonna hear that drilling, the hammering. So for us it was like, my God, we need to like shoot by 7, have our 2 episodes done, and then like pay for that. Hey, let me call somebody. What's going on? Text. We advertised for the next videographer on the spot.
Yeah, and that's when we met our videographer team that we've been with still today.
No, I don't think that's how we met ours.
That's how we reached out, because we had like a whole list of people that reached out to us, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's how we got
that's how we got our first. But then we didn't go with them first.
Yeah, we didn't go with them first. Yeah, we had they were on like a list
they were
of
like
people.
a list of people.
Yeah.
Imagine we didn't go with Beryl's first.
Tough.
How insane was
Tough.
We would have saved ourselves yet another one.
Yeah, another one.
But then,
no, and see, this is what we go through for you guys. This is the stress we endure to bring you podcasts. So that was one. I now want to talk about projections.
Please.
Projections.
Take us there.
And how, we think there's a season coming and surely it'll pay for itself. 3 years in, we assume surely it will pay for itself. And we've said a lot of times on this pod that, when you're starting something, you need the right intentions so that when things aren't going right, you still have an anchor as to why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because some of these stories, if we didn't have a good why as to, why are we here? What are we trying to achieve in terms of impact? We wouldn't keep investing
as much as we do
into the product, even when we're not seeing results, like even to this day, right? We still invest, me and Oscar. So, one of the things I think has been the biggest L for us is just trying to financially engineer a podcast.
We're financial engineers.
We are engineers, and we said we're going to tell you what we're not, because we're not entrepreneurs.
They're not entrepreneurs.
Oscar, what are we?
Ladies and gentlemen, after reviewing the financials from Mantalk.ke, I'd like to pronounce that me and this man to my right are evangelists. We are not entrepreneurs, we're evangelists.
Just doing the Lord's work.
We're doing brand evangelism.
I swear.
Of this Mantalk brand that somehow we dust off our feet.
And we give our coat.
Enter the set. Because it's bad. Like the thing about like podcasting that we have to really say is that like you can't do this business if you're not, like, if you don't believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
You will have to keep investing. And if you're not in places where you can, like, you're not in the spaces where it's a sustainable venture, it can get quite crazy.
Yeah.
It can get quite hilarious.
Yeah.
And one of the big hazards also, like, of podcasting, and this is a big L that can come, and it's not just podcasting, but also influencing, is the lifestyle inflation that comes with. Me and Eli had a conversation, and that's where the brand evangelism kind of came from. Was I told Eli around, it was like 14 days ago, just before we left for South Africa, and I told him my biggest fear as an entrepreneur, or as an evangelist,
yes,
because I cannot have that title, having seen our financial statement, as an evangelist, is how is it that your lifestyle starts to, the cost of living because of your brand starts to increase you personally, and the business itself is making nothing. For me, that's a nightmare, where the lifestyle inflation starts to happen, where people are inviting you for things. There's that invisible, guys are like, but you're the Mantalk host. We want you to contribute a bit more to the ratio.
Yeah.
Those little things. But you guys should make an appearance and you should look a certain way. Like those little things, that lifestyle cost of like living a life that's not necessarily reflected in the business.
Yeah.
It is a big scam. Like if you're ever in a business that the brand is strong, and as much as the brand strength is quite high and your cash flow is not reflecting that brand strength, imagine it's okay to play everything down. Reduce the volume. You don't need to be in every event. It's fine. Please. We'll go to South Africa, but you won't see me for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, nowhere. All I'm drinking is tea and water. My God.
No, it's
so
really,
like, it's like a big hazard. And anyone who's getting into podcasting or influencing or just doing this content in this content market, like, don't be afraid to live your life while you're doing it. Don't come and try living a life that's not yours, because it'll hurt you.
One of the things our buddy Benji said once, which was really powerful on the live, is he says, as he's got older, he's okay with saying he doesn't have the money, even if he does.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with being like, I can't afford it. I've got savings, it's fine, but I'll say to you, I can't afford it. Because a lot of the time, it's the opposite. People say they can afford it, and they can't because they want to sustain that. So don't damage your own future financially to keep up with something that's temporary.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. But another thing, in all of these lessons, we'll call them lessons, not L's, that we're talking about and laughing about, the consistent factor that's kept us going is also having somebody to your left or to your right that you can bounce off, because it's not going to be every day that you're like going to be able to take an L. But if you have somebody that maybe on one side of the business that's being faced, they're taking the L's more, then when it switches, they've recovered and the other guy takes the L. And and the kind of, you need to be able to have, even if not in business with you, a support system where you can call and be just brutally honest. And what happens with me and O is the balance is just, we didn't even plan this, but a lot of the time if O's down, I'll know exactly what to say to O. And if I'm down, you know exactly what to say to me. I think one of my favorite lines we were always saying back during COVID specifically was, there's no eventuality where this doesn't work out. Every time we get a proposal that says no, you just keep saying there's no eventuality. And just having somebody like that to echo off, someone to like, hit the racket back and forth.
You need it to be like a serious sound chamber.
Exactly.
It's an echo chamber.
Because sometimes you need to draw from that positivity from somewhere.
You need to just hold each other's hand.
Because
the other thing about like podcasting, especially as a business, is I keep saying podcasters are not influencers, and a lot of brands don't understand that. We have a strong male voice, and we are pushing an agenda that is for positive masculinity and trying to kind of have a positive change in society. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see us doing, like we are not influencers. We might make content that's engaging and beautiful, but like we need that allowance to do that. And a market that doesn't understand that is a big problem, especially for podcasters. Because you might sit down as a podcaster and you're just interested in having engaging and highly intentional conversations. But if you're not careful, brands will push you towards doing things that you've not set as a brand philosophy. And this is something that you should also remember. And you'll say a lot of painful no's, which is another L.
You have to get used to them.
A lot of painful no's, because you have to protect kind of what your brand identity is. If you start to step into things, your audience will sense you being disingenuous, and you'll start to lose your numbers. I think that's fantastic advice. I also want to give like a really practical tip, because a lot of the DMs we get are about somebody that wants to come into this space. We've mentioned one of the issues can be cash flow. One of the issues can be, I want to make this product, but where am I going to get the money from? One thing I would say is, at the beginning, you need to be so humble with how you price. So what me and O did is we realized that if we're multi-platform, then we can at some point sell each of these platforms individually. So I'd encourage anyone getting into the space, like, don't just be on one avenue, because that means when you go to a client, you've only got one platform that you can sell. Get on every single platform. So the journey that we've had is, prior to where we are now,
we had to collect all of our stats from every platform
To sell
to sell something. My platform,
Yeah.
your platform, everything, so we can say this is the reach,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what people buy in this industry.
I'm opening I'm opening the first contract we had.
Please do while I yeah. So one really smart way, get on every platform. So when you go into a client, be humble, give them everything for a subsidized price so that you can like start getting some money. And then as you now grow your different platforms, you're going to be able to say, okay, you now can't get all of these. You can get maybe this for that same amount of money. And then as each platform grows, you can sell each platform individually. Yeah. So that's one of the things that really helped us, starting very humble, because I thought about this today, and I won't say the exact number, but the price that we quoted a client once for all of our platforms is now what we quote for 30 seconds. Like,
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's now the same number that we now quote for 30 seconds on one platform. So it's that patience, that humility to be like, right now, I can't give you as much value as I'd like to. Yeah. But then you have to double down and invest. I know you're dying to tell them what was in that first contract.
Oh, God.
Let them know. Practical advice. Advice.
Your first contract. I can't really tell you, guys, the client, because confidentiality and everything. But it's 10,000 shillings.
Yeah.
It's 10,000 shillings. Not for episode, a season.
Yeah.
10,000 bob a season, guys.
Yeah. Wow. But that's the thing. You have to be as humble as possible. And the thing is, like, when you get paid 10,000, if you're not from Kenya, 10,000 shillings is like $100.
It's $100.
Right? It's $100. So if you get to that stage where you're getting paid $100 for a lot of your time, if you don't really care about the product, you'll be like, what's the point? What's the point? Because you have to, now if you're paying for production, you have to go into your own pocket.
Yeah.
So those kind of L's at the beginning, and then even negotiating on something like 10K, it's going to humiliate you. It's going to humiliate you, and you're going to feel like you're taking consistent L's. And I think even to this day, the ratio of yeses to nos as Mantalk, even with the numbers, we get way more no's than we get yeses. So it never really stops. I'd say it never really stops.
Yeah.